Thank you for tuning in. That's it. If you guys want to contribute to our topics, have any questions, or just want to tell us what an amazing job we're doing, you can reach out to us at 6364252164. Now, let's jump right into it. For today, let's talk about global warming. And of course, we have Johan here with us. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me on. It's been a while, so it's good to be
Yeah,
back.
yeah, it's definitely been a while. So, for this edition of the Reality Bank, let's have a discussion on global warming. So, my very first question is going to be now, what is global warming and what are the causes for global warming?
Okay, so that there's so overall Earth will have like an average surface temperature. So the
Yeah,
when global warming due to like multiple causes and multiple reasons, that ends up becoming a change in the average surface temperature, and due to the change of the average temperature in that leads to change of temperature in other cities, and due to other specific reasons where the temperature will be there in other places due to the average surface temperature is changing. The weather changes will be there, the temperature and the climate changes will end up being being different in every other places. And the reason why global warming is happening is one of the reasons is deforestation. And we
yeah,
are seeing people cutting down trees and for industrial purpose, for agricultural purpose. But towards the end, trees absorbs carbon dioxide, right? And carbon
yeah,
dioxide helps in absorbing the heat. And the moment there are lesser trees, when they cut down trees, there are lesser trees to absorb the carbon dioxide. And due to
yeah,
that there is change in the temperature and change in the heat, which is why and you see a lot of these environmentalists who are talking about and being very vocal about not cutting down trees. And they have sometimes they end up vandalizing. That is a very that's something that's not good.
yeah,
But you can't deny what they're saying is wrong. They are right. In the end of the day, there is global warming happening because due to cutting down of trees. Lot of it has a lot to do with industrial purpose mainly. Like in
yeah,
Bangalore itself, because of all these tech parks that have come and they've cut down trees, you're seeing how there is change in the temperature of Bangalore also, right? Over the years, you're
yeah,
seeing a vast change of temperature in Bangalore over the years, and every other city as well. And another thing is burning of coals and oil, because like if you take petrol itself, which is now used mainly for transportation, and they burn coals, and they use all of this for electricity, for transportation, for the daily purposes. And now because they use it for the daily purposes, and there are more people who consume cars and bikes a lot more within the cities, that also ends up changing, having a change in the temperature as well. And also waste management, because there is in many places there is very the waste management is not really well done in many places. And due to that also ends up being one of the main reasons why global warming is caused in these places. Now, just cutting down, like it might seem very simple towards the end, right? Like, I mean, transportation, people are talking about just, petrol, this is used for our purpose, and cutting down trees might seem very simple. But towards the end, people don't realize, they, it's you, these kind of things are just such part of our daily lives that towards the end, we don't realize how it's affecting the world overall. And it is the kind of changes that can be brought in for this. It's a very difficult thing, but it's I feel like global warming that's is something that is happening naturally more than that is something that is being done on purpose. I don't think you can do it something on purpose, because for other reasons people end up you do a cut down trees and they end up using burning coals and fuels. And but unfortunately, due to those kind of things, to to help humans, it ends up affecting the world, the land in many ways because of that.
yeah. Now, very recently, I just came across this article regarding that, the ocean levels are rising, the sea levels are rising, and of course, everyone knows Venice, right? They are saying
Mhm.
roughly in around 10 to 20 years' time, it's going to submerge underwater. So, this comes to
Yeah.
my second question. Now, what does global warming have to do with the rising of sea levels?
So as the one of the things is it because there's a difference in the change in temperature. Because of that, ice and glaciers end up melting. So
Yeah,
because that is one of the main reasons. So in these polar regions, because the ice gets melted, there's a lot of the sea level ends up increasing. There's a lot of water level that increases, and also the thermal expansion of water. That
yeah,
is another one of the main reasons why there's increase of sea level. Is it's pretty simple. When it's warm, water expands, and the moment the water expands, that ends up having uh, higher sea level. And the problem in this is, the more there are higher sea levels, it's very dangerous for places which has lesser land surface and lot of water surface. Like if you take Ireland for example, like now because of the cyclone that happened right recently,
yeah,
Andaman, I mean Bangalore got affected. I don't know, Bangalore also and Chennai got affected by it, but
yeah,
Andaman suffered really bad during this time. And a lot of
yeah.
people didn't speak about it, much like they spoke about the other cities. But Andaman suffered really bad during this time. And because of that, in the islands and all in these smaller places, it does end up affecting. And because of the thermal expansion of water, that does affect in the storms, in the hurricanes, and in the cyclones. And that ends up becoming a lot more worse. The moment there is change in the sea level overall, that's due to the global warming. uh, that when there is sea level changes, that's why if you see places like in Chennai itself, why? Because there's more heat, the moisture is absorbed a lot more in those places, and because due to that it starts. That's why the cyclone is affects the place a lot more there. That's why the flood is a lot worse in those places.
Yeah, and let me also add a little bit to it. Now, of course, we know Antarctica, we know Arctic, right? And
Mm,
like literally like 10, 20 years ago, like these used to be solid slabs of ice. They used to like span over a vast area. Now, if you just
mm,
Google Antarctica or the Arctic, you'll find how small it is, how scattered the icebergs are.
mm,
And of course, if you take the wildlife, the polar bears, the seals, the penguins, all of them are like they barely have any place to stay,
mm,
and that's why they migrate to other continents, for example Australia, New Zealand. recently there
mm,
was uh, Recently there was a situation where a lot of penguins had washed up on shore on the coast of Australia. And of course
mm,
we did speculate all of this. And if we take mining has become a very not really, but mining has become a really deterrent role in, if when we are talking about global warming. So very
mm,
recently, of course, we know the rise of lithium batteries for these electric vehicles. Now,
mm,
electric vehicles by itself, okay, it might help the environment, but then again, you're mining these batteries, and
mm,
lithium is a lot more harmful when it comes to certain other materials. So coal, take coal for example, or take petroleum. For any of this, lithium mining of lithium, it takes a lot of you know toll on the entire environment. It causes a very long lasting effect of the land. Pollution is a lot. And especially like recently we have seen all these cases about these electric vehicles when they start smoking suddenly, and then of course they
mm,
catch fire, and those gases released from these batteries tend to harm the environment a lot more. So right now I'm not exactly sure whether the debate is still going on in the Senate, but
mm,
last I heard, yeah, it did come forth, and they are still debating whether to remove these electric vehicles or not, because or to refine the batteries in a way that these harmful gases are not really emitted into the atmosphere.
mm.
So, should we move on to the next question, or you have anything more to add?
The- No, the thing is like one thing you spoke about is also which I wanted to talk about is like the thing is there are so many like animals that are
Yeah,
that live in the colder region, right? And they live in the colder region, and due to global warming, you can see lot of you can see the changes in that also. Due to that, the deaths of lot of these
exactly.
polar bears and penguins is due to the change of global warming. And the thing is, because of thing of the deforestation, because of burning of coals and fuels, it ends up affecting the ecosystem itself overall. and that is the overall problem with the global warming. Why
Yeah,
people talk so much about global warming is, towards the end it's affecting the ecosystem slowly, because it's happening so slow. People are not seeing the difference, but people will end up seeing the toll that, global warming will take on earth, like only like 10-15 years,
yeah,
later on. Like Bangalore also, people have seen the gradual change in the weather. And it's the thing is, like, it's been happening for a long time. It's just the temperature has worsened so much more that people are realizing, it much now. And the thing is, the changes, it's very hard to bring in the changes also, right? With global warming, it is
yeah.
possible, but it is very difficult.
Exactly. Now we you spoke about deforestation like a while ago. So now how exactly does deforestation affect global warming?
So as I mentioned earlier, trees absorb carbon dioxide. So because they absorb CO2, that CO2, it helps in absorbing the heat a lot, and that
Yeah.
is what, and that's the thing. That's what trees does. Trees are one of the reasons why people build trees in the ecosystem, is so that they absorb heat. And that's why, in a lot of these places where there are trees, you can see there's difference in the heat, right? And
Yeah.
one of the reasons Bangalore had such a great weather was because of the trees.
Yeah.
And because of the cut down on trees, we saw a change in the temperature of Bangalore itself. And other cities also we have overall seen. But the problem with all this is, I don't know. I don't know if there's any valid reason to cut down trees.
Exactly.
Honestly, I feel like there is no valid reason to cut down trees. Like, it's like like when people are building, have building, when there are new buildings coming up, they do end up cutting down trees for,
Yeah.
having a bigger building. And overall, sometimes if you like the people who are in the building, it will benefit the people in some way or the other. But to overall make the city better or something, in those sort of ways, one of the things that people tell is, that people are talking this much about global warming, and trees are getting cut. And they're like, if you go to other places like Dubai and all these places, they don't have much trees and they're living happily and they're talking. But they are really, the heat is so bad over there, like they can't
Yeah.
survive without AC over there. Like they need AC 24/7 in those places to survive. And really their ecosystem is really bad because of that. And and people have openly spoken about it. And just and people can't, afford, not everybody can afford ACs, to live a
Yeah.
life. And you can't give that sort of an excuse also to live. I think the excuses people give for deforestation, that is my problem. Like, you can, you like, people cut down trees for their benefit and then they complain about the heat. I don't get that problem.
Exactly. Like recently, like when I was still in college, I had a debate with a specific individual. Now she argued literally the same thing which you just told. Like she told, like, okay, people cut down trees, to have buildings, to have infrastructure. Take a look at how Bangalore, how it's developed. Because people cut down trees, and I was like, okay, so how's the heat? How are you facing the heat? She's like, no, I have an AC in my house. So I was like,
Mm,
do you understand this? Like the very thing, like that, like if you take a look at certain countries, they have found ways to build around trees, and these buildings are not bad by any means. They're one of the most fantastic infrastructure in the entire world. And I think, like, if we can find a way to do something like that, because I mean, even recently also, if we take a look at what the government has implemented, they're like, for every one tree you cut down, you have to plant two trees, two seeds and all of that.
yeah.
But here's the major issue here. These trees take like hundreds and 100, 200, 300 years to grow to such a massive size. And
Mm,
that was in a place where global warming never really existed to such an extent. And now I doubt even trees can survive like for 10 years, 20 years. It'll be a miracle if they can cross even 20 years. And
mm,
they want us to do the same, like plant more trees. I get it, go ahead and plant more trees, but
mm,
stop cutting down the trees that are already there. If you want to plant more
mm,
trees, go ahead, you can be my guest. But
mm,
once again, they should really stop cutting down trees which have been there for like decades. And even
mm,
recently also, I think somebody was talking about they were planning to get some permit or something to cut down special trees in Cubbon Park or something. I don't think the permit
mm,
was actually approved, because there's
mm,
certain like special wood that is used to make furniture, beds, and also some high quality stuff.
mm,
I hope the permit wasn't approved. So
mm.
yeah. And even recently, like, there's a building that came right next to my house, and that tree has been there for like, I think, maybe 150 years, if I'm not mistaken. And
Oh.
the forest department, I do not know where they got the permit. Okay, these the builders or the owners of the land, I don't know where they got the permit to cut down the tree. They said like they went through the forest department and all, but to be very honest, I don't think the forest department is going to give such a permit in just a day's time and allows them to cut such a big tree, because that tree was even bigger than my house, and my house is like about 30-40 feet tall,
Mm.
and this tree was much bigger than that. And I don't know what happened. So I would like to say that the government is doing their best, but then again, we have certain cases where it's not really happening, to be honest.
Mm.
And of
The
course,
thi-
like of course, like, we as citizens, we have to take our stand in it, because uh, this summer which we faced in 2024, that was the worst summer ever. Bangalore has never been hotter than it already had.
mm,
And so we as citizens should take a stand, and we should protect the trees, especially the ones that are near our house. At least there,
mm.
we should prevent them from prevent other people from coming and cutting it down, because some random people come, and they come with the chainsaws. They say some wiring work, this and that, and they chop down the entire tree, which is literally not at all necessary. So we need to protect our trees, at least near our own home, and then we can talk about protecting trees all over the world.
So the thing is, like, if you see, like, one of the most common things that we have seen is environmentalists going to art museums, and and they throw food at these
Hmm.
artworks, and we've seen that happen a lot. It's happened in a lot of things, you know. Like, one thing is, vandalizing is not a way of
Exactly.
supporting or saving the environment, but you can't deny what they're saying is wrong. The thing
Yeah.
with them is, the reason why they go to all these art museums and these things is, their whole point is, you're investing so much money to preserve an artwork. Why
Yeah.
can't you invest that much money to protect your world, to protect your environment, to protect the trees? Why can't you invest money into that? So that is their whole point. I mean, their actions might be a little too extreme that I don't agree with, but what they're standing for, what they're doing, sometimes it might be very harsh to come by, but there is, I don't think anyone can really, as much as they people make fun of them, sometimes you can't really disagree or tell what they're wrong. And the
Yeah.
thing is, and they also spoken about how the change in temperature is so subtle that overall the impact is pretty huge. And the thing is, one of the things is, people don't really care about how future of the world should be, right? They
Yeah.
care about how they're living in their own times, how to sustain and live their life through that. And then the world is, then the future depends on the people who are going to live in that during that time. And that's really, and because of that, the small mistakes that people end up making, that it ends up affecting the next generation. And and they also will end up, so they will, it's the initiative that they'll have to take to stand up and bring some sort of a change. Because if you bring a change only today, then only the future will get better. So
Exactly.
that's the thing with environmentalists, why they go so harsh and so extreme. And honestly, their points are very valid, though. You can't deny that.
Exactly. So, which brings me to the last question. Now, what actions can we take to, stop, or at the bare minimum, slow down the rate of global warming?
One thing is, like, I think reducing the you we mentioned, right, burning of coals and fuels
Yeah.
is one of the things that plays a big role. I think the thing is, like, you can't the electric vehicle is a great solution to it, despite all the things people say. Yeah, it is, overall it is better for the environment, which is true. But the thing is, it's not something everybody can afford, right? That is the
Yeah.
thing. And towards the end, now petrol is affordable for every person. It's something that everybody uses. And affording and investing on an electric vehicle is something only a certain bunch of people can do.
Yeah.
So the thing is, everybody, the whole world to go electric, it's a great initiative, but it's also extremely difficult, I feel. So that's why I mean, it would be amazing if they do some sort of an initiative like that, but it is really, a humongous task, I feel, if you want to make the whole world go electric. But another things is another thing that I know that people do is absorbing the carbon dioxide that ends up getting releasing. There is a system for that, because one of the things that we didn't talk about is all these power plants and all these factories also. They
Yeah.
also play a big role in, why there is, because of the release of carbon dioxide there, that ends up affecting the environment as well. And some people have figured out ways to, protect those carbon dioxide that can end up, affecting sorry not affecting sorry protecting the world towards the end. I think another one of the best ways is, finding a better way of waste management.
Yeah.
Because waste, it's I mean it's something that just affects the environment in such a bad way. It's not something that we need to explain as well, right? It's something that we can see through our eyes how bad it affects the environment. And the thing is uh, the thing is, in a place like India as well, right, when you try to bring up some sort of steps, like, it's very hard to make, 1 billion people, follow this exact same thing. So
Yeah.
the thing with with a country like India as well, these kind of steps is something that they can take, but because of, the population, making this sort of a change because of the number of people is the population also is one of the big tasks, in bringing change in some sort of a thing. Like even plastic, right? If people want to go zero plastic, one of the main reasons is because there are so many people. If you tell someone to no plastic, you will, out of 10 people, if you tell no plastic, there'll be another bunch of 10 people, who will throw plastic in the end. And that's
Yeah.
the thing about India, right? You have 10 people, but then there are 100 people outside that you haven't seen. And
Exactly.
that is the problem with these places. But I think, very effective waste management can be really helpful. And another thing is that we kept speaking about is saving trees. I mean, I think why people talk so much about it, why, the thing about cutting down trees is it's going to affect very slowly one by later on. But now itself, it's just, if a place like Bangalore now itself, if the temperature has got this bad, if it's going to continue like this, it's going to get a lot worse. And all the things that, a place, if you really want a city like Bangalore is known for having great weather, and a
Yeah.
great place to live. If you want, to Bangalore to still be that sort of a place, saving trees is one of the best ways to keep it. And the thing is, it's very simple for us to say also, right? I mean, the thing is, like, we can simply say, right, like,
Yeah.
we need to save trees, but it's such a big task to save a tree that's lived
Exactly.
for so many years. And the
Yeah.
thing is, like, some trees, unfortunately, some trees are old, and because of that, I mean, I've seen this myself, right? Like in Joseph's itself, near our college, like they have so many, like, all these 100 to 100-year-old trees within near our college areas. And I've seen like these massive branches that just fall on the road in the middle of nowhere.
Hmm.
And one day, was this during COVID? I don't remember, but the whole road was blocked because of that. And
Hmm.
I think because and the thing is, like, when these trees end up getting so old, I think maintaining the trees, what,
Yeah.
another thing that they need to do. So I think saving trees and maintaining trees, I think maintaining is the first thing I think they should do, so that, the all the trees that are already there, they can continue, continue growing and stay healthy. And it's a huge investment, honestly, saving trees. And keeping trees alive and keeping the place green is a very huge investment, and it's a lot of steps and initiatives that needs to be taken. But I think if you start now, 30, 40 years from now, you can see the impact. You can't see the impact of it next day itself. It's something that's
Yeah.
going to take decades to decades for it to bring a change.
Exactly. And when you are talking about going to be a huge investment to, say, preventing people from cutting down trees, of course, investment is going to be huge, but it's huge investment, huge reward, because at the end of the day, we are responsible for the future generation. Like, mistakes
Hmm.
from our past generation has affected us, and our
Hmm.
mistakes are going to affect the next generation that comes. So at least let's
Yeah.
start from now. Like,
Hmm.
let's make the planet a better place.
Yeah. And shouldn't
So
happen.
yeah,
It's not a one day thing. It's going to take probably centuries for it to make, for make it happen. But still, if you start today, definitely it can work out.
as long as it happens by the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So with that, that brings us to the end of today's show. A huge thank you to Johan for joining today's show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Johan. It was great.
Thank you so much. And remember, guys, we air on Mondays at 4:30 p.m. That's it. If you guys want to contribute our topics, have any questions, or just want to tell us what an amazing job we're doing, you can reach out to us at 6364252164. And a huge thank you to our listeners for tuning in to this edition of the Reality Bang, your weekly dose of your power, brought to you by FEBA Online. This is RJ Johan. Hope you have an amazing week, and I'll see you next Monday. God bless you.